really harping on this question, and it's how would Curtis Samuel fit in Green Bay?
He would fit too well. It would actually just be perfect. I think we mentioned it earlier. Curtis Samuel would fit best on a team where there's a dominant number one, and he could be the guy that does the more gadget stuff. So I think if Curtis Samuel were to be on the Packers, he could take over that Tyler Ervin role of doing, the runarounds, taking some jet sweeps, and doing that. And then they could also use him in a ton of other creative ways. We're talking about Matt LaFleur. Vish, is there a way you could see him being used, something to how the Niners use any of their players?
Yeah, they could use him. They could use him similarly to the way the Niners use Debo.
Yeah,
he can do similar kinds of stuff to what Debo can do. I don't think he's as good as Debo, but he can do similar stuff. I mean, they had Tavon Austin on the roster for a little bit, and they would put him in motion and do those kinds of things. But this would be special. Curtis Samuel on the Packers would be special. Think Randall Cobb and inject steroids into Randall Cobb, and you have Curtis Samuel. Maybe not as good as Randall Cobb was like a Julian Edelman in terms of how tough he was over the middle and receiving the football. Curtis Samuel is really good as a receiver, maybe not that good, but Curtis Samuel is special after the catch. The only reason Blake and I both wanted to say the Packers before the show when we were discussing the fit, but the money I don't know how the money's going to make sense. I know they restructured Amos. I think Zadarius Smith is due to be restructured, but the Packers need to get this guy. The Packers need to get this guy.
Oh, I agree. If they did sign him, this would bump Lazard to the number 3. I think he'd be a really good number 3, honestly. I think he's not the best too, just because he's not as consistent of a receiver, just catching, and he'll pop off some games, other games he'll be quiet. But he's a really good blocker. And then as much as everyone likes to harp on MVS, if he was the number 4 guy, I think he'd be a fine number 4. He still catches tons of deep bombs. He drops a ton too. But still, Curtis Samuel as the number 2 would be insane. And it would add a bit of explosiveness to what we don't have with Davante Adams. And he's not going to, take his screen 50 yards. Curtis Samuel can. Curtis Samuel will initiate contact. He will run people over. He will juke people out of their shoes. He's explosive. He's quick. He's everything that the Packers need in a number 2 that we don't have, that we wanted last year. And maybe they want to go with a guy like Kadarius Toney or Rondale Moore to do that. But Curtis Samuel is proven, and I think he's, quite frankly, probably better than those guys right now.
Yeah, Curtis. I love Kadarius Toney. He's my favorite player in the draft, and I think that's a great fit for the Packers too. Kadarius Toney, Rondale Moore, 2 names that are great names for them. But I think that if you're going to lose Aaron Jones, I wouldn't mind getting Kadarius Toney and Curtis Samuel. You need as many guys that are special with the ball in their hands in terms of creating explosive plays. The offense can't be just solely LaFleur and Rodgers, just good scheme and Rodgers being awesome at executing it and Davante Adams winning. There has to be more to it than that. And somebody like Curtis Samuel is a guy that can do things beyond the scheme where you throw him a screen and he goes 80 yards for a touchdown. Yeah. There's it's not like they have to be perfect. It's not like Rodgers and LaFleur have to be perfect every game.
Yeah. And I think this is something they've kind of been missing over the years, is missing a second guy who can win one-on-one consistently. Because if you double Tanyan, I don't think he's there yet. I think he's pretty good. He can't do it consistently. I don't think Lazard or MVS could win consistently. But Curtis Samuel could probably win consistently if given the amount of opportunities, open up more gadgets, and even better than Tyler Ervin, who I'm fine with on the team. But Curtis Samuel would be insane in those jet handoffs, those little touch passes that we see all the time. And it would just add another layer of complexity to the Packers offense that would make them even possibly better than last year, which is kind of
make them way better than last year. Way better.
Yeah.
Because Rodgers played flawless last year and they still didn't have enough around him. If they had Curtis Samuel, they're going to have a really good offensive line, whether Corey Linsley stays or whether Corey Linsley leaves, just because that's just what the Packers do, right? They had J.C. Tretter. Now they have Corey Linsley. J.C. Tretter is still one of the better centers in the NFL in Cleveland, and Corey Linsley is really good, but don't worry. They got another 5th-round pick that's just waiting in the wings to be really good for them. Yeah, so I'm joking when I say that, but it's true. But ultimately, if they get Curtis Samuel, they're finally going to have the offense I think that Rodgers deserves.
Yep.